My name is Shameela.
Cool. Do you want to tell a bit about your ethnic background?
Sure. Well, both of my parents are from Afghanistan, but I was born and raised in New Zealand. So, so I definitely identify as Afghan.
Nice.
My dad is Pashtun, which is like the indigenous Afghans.
Yep.
My mum is from Kabul, and I think she has like Turkish ancestry and Mongolian
Nice.
ancestry. So but all in all, I just call myself Afghan.
Cool.
And what's your name?
Cool. So I'm Atelaite. I'm Māori Tongan, born in Hawaii, raised in Hawaii, moved over here to New Zealand
Way.
about, 18 years ago. So from my mom's side, I hail from Ngāpuhi me Ngāti Whātua, it's up north. On my dad's side, I hail from Golofo, so that's like a city slicker in Tonga. I identify as an American, but also as a Māori Tongan or Polynesian.
That's cool.
So that's me.
So what do you identify with most? Like the American side or the Māori Tongan side?
It's both. I think I'm just trying to blend it in.
Yeah.
It's both.
Do you call yourself a New Zealander?
No, but I identify with this whenua.
Yeah.
But Hawaii strongly that's my tūranga waiwai to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel so connected strongly to it because you were born there and raised there, or is it like something that you feel like a spiritual connection to it as well?
Spiritual, but also the fact that it was Polynesian capital.
Okay.
So, brown capital, Māori, Tongan, Samoan,
That's cool.
Tuvaluan, Fijian. You had everything there,
Yeah.
and I just love and breathe that whole Polynesian.
So did you feel more accepted there
Except it there,
rather than here,
rather than here.
or is it just a different dynamic?
It depends, because I live in Otara right now.
Okay.
And so Otara for me is pretty much synonymous with Hawaii.
Yeah.
There's that brown
Yeah.
capital there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's awesome. So just into the more serious stuff. In responding to racism, you've said that you feel like it's easier when you're in a group,
Yeah.
like how you just mentioned with the brownness. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I guess there's strength in numbers, and for me, I guess if we look back and you see all these social movements, right?
Yeah.
Where there was a constituency mobilized towards a shared purpose or a shared goal, and for me, I feel like the same. I can connect all those social movements where if I have a group with me, and if there's subtle racism being exposed or happening in any situation, with a group I feel empowered, or I feel, boss.
Do you feel like you have that support that you can...
Yeah, I can do it and they've got my back.
Yeah, but you wouldn't feel that way if you're by yourself?
No, I think I would cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because you think that you will be confronted in a really negative sense, or do you just think you just don't want to even deal with that sort
Just
of
don't want to deal with
confrontation?
it because I feel like if I'm by myself, the backlash or the critics maybe.
Will bring you down more than you can handle on your own?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. That's actually really profound. So what benefits do you see in like a non-conventional approach to like to silent learning spaces, in particular like shared spaces and talking friendly environments in the university setting?
So I'm a MAPAS student.
Okay.
I'm based at the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences, and our faculty is a bit unique, especially the MAPAS program, because we have MAPAS spaces, and these are learning spaces just for MAPAS students.
Okay.
And these spaces are more than just spaces. This is where trust is being built, rapport building is happening, whakawhanaungatanga. We're building, we're such a strong,
and stuff, eh?
Yeah, and I guess for me that's so huge because coming to university and being the minority, you feel lost or just, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, no, I get that.
But at a MAPAS learning space, at these spaces, I feel inclusive to the university. I feel valued, and I feel like, man.
You feel like you belong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually really good. I mean, do you, like when you are in these learning spaces, do you feel like that is what your definition of the university is? Or when you like step out of that, where do you feel you are?
Yeah, so that learning space for me is my comfort zone, and once I step out, I feel lost.
Do you?
I feel like I have to navigate a whole different type of world.
Yeah.
And I guess it just goes back to like how this institution is built or whose values it's built on.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily mine or what I'm used to.
Do you think that other people would benefit from similar shared spaces?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really good.
Cool, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I feel like being interviewed. All right, so
Sorry.
in the future, if you witness subtle racism, what would you do? Yeah.
Well, like, I don't mind confrontation.
Right.
When it comes to like myself, for example, I get a little bit nervous if anyone was to say anything to me. But if it's anybody that I care about, or if I see anybody feeling upset, that gets me going. Like, I get really defensive really quickly. And so when I see subtle racism, if I see like the correlation between the act and the response, so if I see, like, for example, someone saying something a little bit mean and you get upset, I would fight on your behalf.
Oh, wow.
But if you don't really see that reaction, it's kind of hard to jump. I mean, you know, because you don't want to be seen as the overly sensitive type.
Yeah.
I think that that's what's really difficult for me, because I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to make judgments on people.
Yeah.
So if I was to see someone saying something and then they deny it, and like you said before, if they were to act defensively and confront me, I'm not always sure that I could handle that backlash. But see, if I had more people with me, then I'd be like sweet with just pouncing, I guess.
See, I think that's interesting. I can't do that because I feel like I'm not entitled to confront, because I feel like if I do it, people look at me or perceive me to be, angry Afro activist again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care what people think of me, but also I feel like I have an added responsibility because I'm brown.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle ground, right? Because I'm not Pākehā, but then I don't identify as Māori or Pacific Islander either. So in a way, I'm kind of in like a neutral safe zone. So people can hate me as much as they want, and it won't matter. So I don't know. It's just how it is.
But for me, it does. I feel like.
Why do you think so?
I mean, I just get pinned for it. Like, I feel like our people just become the scapegoat, or like we'll just be blaming. Oh shoot, no, not
there
this
they
again.
go again.
Ranting, doing their fight for your rights. But that's cool. That's so cool, and I
think you should mobilize your other ethnic piece.
And I think that's what we're trying to do.
You know, because we all get affected by it.
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
It's the subtle racism does not just stop with Māori and Pacific. I get a lot of it too.
Yeah, it's universal. Yeah.
Yeah, we all got to stick together. You
know. Okay. I just want to ask you another question. So, you discussed how silence is its own form of consent, and so why is inaction consent, and how could we break the silence?
Well, you know, as we were just talking, like how it's the responsibility of every single person to combat racism, not just you, because of your heritage, not because of me, because of my heritage, but every single person that lives in New Zealand or in the world. As a community, you know, we owe it to each other to speak out. So people who believe in staying silent, who believe in, you know, just letting it go. You know, like how they're like, no, just let it be, it will sort itself out. No, it won't. Clearly it won't. You know, so if people stay silent, that's a form of complicity. You know, because you're, instead of questioning that action or that speech, if you were to stay silent about it, you're pretty much
you're just maintaining the status quo.
Exactly. And so you can't pretend to be indifferent, because you are taking a stance by not saying anything. You know, you don't have to like fight someone. You could just be like, hey, I think what you said before was a little bit inappropriate. I saw that a few people got offended. Maybe you should think about it before you say something in the future. You know, you don't have to be like,
just the small things.
Yeah, just the really small things. Those are really important. Okay, now back to you.
Awesome.
So you mentioned the importance of like motivation and having a good morale on campus. And you mentioned this before about the shared learning spaces. So has like any conflicts within the university affected your own well-being or your own ability to focus at school?
So internalized racism is huge for me, and I know not just for me, but for my other Māori and Pacific brothers and sisters here at the university. And so internalized racism refers to the whole feeling devalued, intrinsic worth going down.
How so? And what
and
way?
that just comes from, I guess that all goes back to institutional racism. And so just going with me, my own experience is that this university is a mainstream space. It's a white stream space, and for me being brown, it automatically marginalizes me, and that comes about through the things we teach, how we teach, the way we learn. It's different, and yeah, we need to realize that everyone needs to know that this institution is built upon colonizer values, or values or knowledge or beliefs that are like,
Yeah.
that are not mine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the way that it's taught doesn't take on that perspective? Do you feel that way? Like, do you
Yeah.
think that if it was taught in a way where people understood your perspective, that would make a difference?
Yeah, or we just need to be inclusive to other
Yeah, absolutely. Rather
teaching
than just having
styles,
that.
pedagogies,
Yeah,
knowledge,
no,
whatever.
definitely.
Yeah, we just need to be inclusive to the other, to the alternative.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you feel like you can be yourself in like a lecture setting, or do you feel like you have to hide who you are
Yeah.
and just blend into that mainstream,
Yeah.
that white space that you were talking about?
I feel like I need to assimilate to keep up. And just talking about that, yeah, this is just for me. Through undergrad, like, I always sat in the back. And it wasn't just
Yeah.
because I wanted to, but it's because I felt like I couldn't sit in the front, or that I couldn't participate in learning, which sucks real bad.
Yeah. Did you ever try to sit at the front?
Hell no. No. But you have a look. And next time you go lecture setting, like,
yeah, I see it.
you see it?
Yeah,
Cool.
of course. And that's the sad part, because I feel exactly
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah.
And I feel like people just assume, oh, you know, it's just how it
This
is.
is what- yeah.
But there is a reason for why people want
yeah.
to sit behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
because we feel like we are being.
Safety zone.
Yeah. I get that. Okay. So, what are some like immediate changes that you want to see? Like, if you could change anything at the university right now, like in dreamland, what would you do?
I think the first step is for this university to stop tokenistic gestures, and you talked about that, and I think
Ooh, that is so
you know the whole
good.
putting it and sweeping it under the carpet.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, we just need to be real. We just need to. Everyone needs to get informed. Everyone needs to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first step, is acknowledging it, and then we can move on to structural changes or other great solutions to address this.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I think that one of the main things that we need to be focusing on, especially as like a university,
Yeah.
is that, you know, just like with the like TAPAS program and everything like
Right.
that, it's MAPAS, sorry?
MAPAS,
Yeah. Because here, like, we have the targeted admission scheme for law as well. And I just feel like it creates a lot of resentment because people don't know why it's so important.
Ignorance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, like, ignorance is perpetuated by the fact that the university does not hold in a proper space the opportunity for people to have that dialogue, that discussion, or at least be informed about the importance of a scheme like this. They just say, like you said, tokenistic, here you go, we're going to give this to you, you deal with it. But why does it have to be Māori and Pacific responsibility?
Right.
You know, you shouldn't have to defend yourself. You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Cool. Do you feel a general inclusivity in the university culture while on campus?
No.
Okay. Oh.
I just straight up no. Like, I did an arts degree before
Right.
coming into law, and I just, with law especially, I think that I actually am the only Afghan law student. And I can see that from looking around in my
Right.
lecture, you know, in the lecture halls and in my tutorials and stuff like that. I think I'm one of like 3 brown. By brown, I mean like, you know, like Indian, Southeast Asian, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, the Māori and Pacific students, and even, you know, the numbers for that are really low. But I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I've never belonged at this university. But it's, you know, because I don't identify with any particular group. And so it's just really difficult to, you know, to find a place.
Oh, you need to hang out with the Māori Pacific.
Yeah, no, like I did. Like, I've actually started hanging out with PILSA, which
Oh,
is the
nice.
Pacific Island
Yeah.
Law Society.
How do you like that?
It's actually so amazing. Like, you just
Yeah.
walk in and they're like, oh, hey! You know, like, they don't even know your name.
cool
And it's
people,
like,
right?
I know. No, seriously. And so, like, I've,
Yeah.
like, gotten really into that. But even still, I get, like, nervous and I don't go, like, you know, into the shared spaces by myself. But if I have friends with me, I go in and
Yeah.
it's just welcoming, just the best environment. So, yeah, I guess I'm finding my way. Yeah.
So awesome. Okay. I guess I'm going to give back the same question that you
Okay.
asked me.
Yeah.
So what are some immediate changes you would like to see in the university to address subtle racism?
I think, like I said before, like the university needs to take a stand with where they are. It's gone too long now where silence and inaction it just can't go on, I think. You know, it's complicit behaviour. It's acting as, I feel like it's a type of discrimination, you know, not, because like you can't just make token efforts and then expect people to be happy with it. You know, I think that lecturers need to be better educated on these matters. I think that they need to stop perpetuating it. I've had, like you said, the way that we teach content labels Māori and Pacific as being the reason for why things are bad, but that alienates people, makes people feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
So lecturers need to take a stand. Students, as we mentioned before, need to speak out against subtle racism and overt racism even. You know, when people just kind of, you know, look away and don't want to have anything to do with it, like, you're just as bad as the person who just made those comments. That's what I feel anyway.
Right. Can we go back to the whole academics lecturers?
Yeah, sure.
So would you say that's your first group to try and change?
Oh, definitely.
Address? Yeah.
I mean, who do we look up to? Who do we think, you know, they're teaching us. They're teaching us about what our degree is going to be on. We hold them in high esteem for a reason, you know? And if they were to start, then the students would start following, you know? You can't expect students as a whole to, you know, combat racism if their lecturers are going to keep perpetuating it and make it normal. We can't have that as normal behaviour. You know, it needs to start from the top down.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Cool. So next question for you. How can people in society address subtle racism, do you think, like as a whole? Tough.
I know. But I don't want people to think that this is a complex problem and just to leave it.
Yeah.
And just to give up on it. Like we said before, it's the small and simple things that will lead to great things.
Yeah.
And I think for overall society, I'm going to say you have to drop or you have to let go of your assumptions or stereotypes. And
definitely.
That's really it. Just drop and let go these preconceived thoughts.
Do you have any ideas of how people could maybe do that?
Let go of your pride? No. I have no idea.
Just stop it. No, I think the best way is like understanding and having conversations, you know? Instead of avoiding that person on the bus, how about you go sit with them and ask them how their day is going? If they don't want to talk to you, that's fine.
Yeah, and I feel like, you can teach the ignorant, but from their side there needs to be desire.
Absolutely.
To hear and to actually apply and to take on whatever your thoughts were or conversation told. Yeah.
But I think it starts with one person acting, you
Yeah.
know, and then other people learn from that.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
That's cool. So racism and discrimination, you said that racism and discrimination begin at the home. So how can the home be used to nurture an accepting and egalitarian psyche?
Well, you know, I think that the home, it can perpetuate all sorts of negativity.
Right.
You know, we know from, you know, well, I have done criminology and sociology, and we know that a lot of things are affected by our environments and our home culture. And if, like I said before, with the lecturers, we hold them in high esteem for a reason. We know that they have the knowledge, and we hold our parents in high esteem. And so if they are to perpetuate racist ideologies, how are we to, you know, go away from that, especially if the schools are like doing the exact same thing? So I think that in the home, if, you know, if there's somebody who is socially conscious or understands, they should be teaching, especially the younger generation, that tolerance, you know, understanding, acceptance, that is the way forward. You know, there's no denying that New Zealand is a multicultural society and it's growing by the day. We can't have this division. You know, inclusiveness is what's important. Having a collective goal is what's important, you know, and that brings me back to what I actually mentioned before with mobilizing all ethnicities.
Yeah.
You know, black, white, yellow, brown, purple, green, orange. Bring them all together, you know, like everyone should just come together and move forward as a people rather than as, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We need a
distinction.
coordinated voice
Exactly.
to address this issue. And I think that's cool, your thoughts about the home. Because I think people forget that the home is a basic unit of society.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we need to also bring in the environment. So that's called the home, but also the environment. Like our context needs to change.
Because it's like every single area, you know. So if you have schools that are, you know, promoting tolerance and equality, but then you go back home and, you know, there's intolerance and, you know, negativity.
Yeah.
It's just hard to come away from that. And also, so what's your degree on, and what do you plan on doing after graduation?
So my degree this year, I've completed my Bachelor of Health Science degree, my honours degree. Last year I completed my Bachelor degree. This year was my honours. So graduation, what do I plan?
I don't know.
For me, my aspirations is to go big, to go to the top. And so I don't know if that's going to be like World Health Organization, United Nations, but I just know I have to go to the top. And the reason being is not for like just me, personal motivations, but also I feel like I have an intrinsic role, an obligation, duty for my people. Like disparities, inequities, whatever you want to say, any bad term exists amongst my people.
Yeah.
And culture, ethnicity.
Do you want to be a role
family,
model?
yeah, that's huge. That's my motivator. That's what anchors me, or that's what guides me to just go out and change the system or this world that is unjust.
Absolutely. Because I mean, you must be such an inspiration. No, seriously. I mean, think about it. Imagine like all your little cousins and just anybody that you talk to, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And you're like, "I'm at university and I just finished my honours."
Yeah, inspiration.
That in itself is amazing. Like seriously, that's legit. And I think that in itself is huge. And the fact that you have that goal is amazing. And I'm sure you will get there.
Hopefully. I feel like Tupac, the rapper, but his poem, The Rose That Grew from Concrete, I feel like that's my life, or I feel like,
What's your favourite line?
Yeah, the rose that grew from concrete.
Nice.
I feel like that's representative of me and other Māori and Pacific out here at this university.
Like you got out of the concrete and you just want to keep blooming.
Just resilient.
Yeah.
Against the struggle.
Exactly.
Just fighting. Yeah. Cool.
That's
and what
so
about
nice.
you?
I'm studying law.
Nice.
At the university. I have 1 more year left to go. And what I want to do afterwards, I have like a really big passion for human rights law. So I'm currently doing an internship, and it's really opened my eyes to how much ethnic lawyers are needed. There's quite a disparity. So it's, you know, I as you said, I feel like I have a responsibility to my community. I have a responsibility to New Zealand, I think, to help people who need it. And if I was to give up, or if I was to not try as hard, then I'm doing a disservice to my people. So it's not an individual thing. And I think that's what's really important about, you know, what we're about. It's about collectiveness, about having that responsibility for our wider community. And I think that's something that people forget. You know, it's so easy to label individuals as being X, Y, and Z, but you never think that we have aspirations, you know, we have goals. Yeah.
Cool. And I think that's awesome. We just found the common ground.
Exactly.
That we both want to be boss.